Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business. Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Energy Outlook live from Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo. We're back this week with another very interesting episode as we go into the conversations around the energy sector. What is happening? What do you need to know? And of course, bring you up to speed on some of the updates we have. This week, we're discussing another very interesting topic. We're looking into the hydrocarbon space. We're discussing bridging the gap for effective hydrocarbon measurement and accounting in Nigeria. As you know, Nigeria depends quite a lot on the hydrocarbon sector, which of course you know as the oil and gas sector. And a chunk of our revenue is generated from this sector. But many have argued that how much are we doing well enough to ensure that there are no leakages here and there, or of course if we are measuring and giving proper accounting enough of what we are generating. This conversation is what we want to delve into today as we discuss how do we bridge the gap across board in the sector. But before we get into that, and of course we bring you up to speed on some of the conversations and updates you need to know within the sector. Nigeria secures over $80 billion for deep water and oil and gas projects. This was made known by the president, the special advisor to the president on energy, when she spoke at a very recent conference where she gave insights on some of the investments that are coming into the energy sector. Nigeria has attracted $8 billion in investments, she said, for deep water oil and gas projects, thanks to the recent presidential reforms that have made the sector more appealing to investors. We like as more investments are coming into the sector. And just last year, we talked about how $6 billion worth of investments have come into the sector just last year. And this year, we're hearing that number has gone up into $8 billion. And indeed, it's a good one to see. I know soon we'll delve into some of the conversations on why this increment is happening and what is indeed attracting more investment into the sector. And we're looking to that conversation. We hope to have it soon. But just to bring you up to speed that this is the latest news on investment into the energy sector as the presidency has shared most recently. Next is the NNPCL remits only half of fuel subsidy savings. This report is on the business day. And the World Bank is saying, has revealed that NNPC has only remitted half of the fuel subsidy savings, raising questions about the company's financial transparency and accountability. The World Bank has said quite a lot in a couple of days, and analysts have been analyzing some of the conversations from the World Bank, including what he has said about the economy and some of the policies of the federal government. Now, it is saying that from its findings, that NNPCL remits only half of fuel subsidy savings. Is this well enough for transparency and accountability? Is a conversation that the World Bank has indeed raised. And some of this has been discussed widely, and analysts are really speaking to this topic that's become very important. And we too will be speaking on it soon, and raise questions on some of these, issues the World Bank has raised. Nigeria's oil output falls to 1.4864 million BPD. And this is saying on the Vanguard News, which was published recently, that Nigeria's crude oil production has dropped to 1.486 million per barrel a day, according to OPEC, highlighting ongoing challenges in maintaining, consistent output. I mean, this is what we're going to speak to today in our conversation, as we discuss a lot happening within the hydrocarbon space. Why has, our production per day dropped? How do we get that up? Just recently, I think early this year, we heard that we've met our quota. That was reported by OPEC, but suddenly we're seeing that there's a decline in this. What's happening? This bit of this conversation we'll be getting into in our topic today, just to learn more. Very important, the rural electrification drives 5.8 billion private investment. The Rural Electrification Agency, REA, reports that its initiatives have attracted private investment worth 5.8 billion, boosting sustainable energy solutions in rural areas. Very important, and I like this news because the rural areas in Nigeria, many of it are off-grid, and there needs to be electrification of these rural areas if we indeed want to close this energy access gap. And this is good. It could be better, and I know the REA is working over and over again to ensure that it meets its mandate as an agency, and I can really commend the work they are doing. So yes, this investment has come into to boost rural electrification, and we indeed must commend REA for the work it's doing. The federal government launches 2.5 megawatt solar hybrid project at the Nigeria Defense Academy. Just a couple of days ago, we saw the news, of course, at the Nigeria Defense Academy, where the federal government has inaugurated a 2.5 megawatt solar for the Nigeria Defense Academy. A very important development, we indeed must say, and just to commend the drive by the federal government to power these areas, of course, and this is a welcome development news. And just in case, I will just give you more details into that so that you learn more of what has been happening or what has happened at the NDA. So 2.5 megawatts hybrid solar grid to power at the Nigeria Defense College, Kaduna. Nigeria has turned the page in her electrification journey, I must say, with the official commissioning of a 2.5 megawatts hybrid solar mini grid, at the Nigeria Defense Academy in Kaduna. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, cut the tape, to formally launch this state-of-the-art mini grid, which is part of the Energizing Education Program, Phase 2 of the Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria. This is a commendable news. I want to, like that more of this should happen so we can cut down costs, of electricity. Our next news is the federal government plans major overhaul of DISCOs in the power sector reforms. In a bid to improve efficiency and service delivery, the federal government has started plans, to restructure the nation's power distribution companies. This happened recently this week, where we see that electricity distribution companies are to be overhauled to boost performance, and pilot scheme with 2 DISCOs has already begun. And the federal government says this move is to revitalize Nigeria's electricity distribution sector, starting with a pilot overhaul with 2 underperforming distribution companies. This move follows a comprehensive assessment of systematic challenges plaguing DISCOs, including governance gap, infrastructure deficit, and commercial inefficiency, according to the Ministry of Power. So this is happening, and the Minister of Power has disclosed the plans that after meeting with Japanese International Company Agency, which presented a roadmap, revamping of DISCOs in Nigeria. So this is ongoing. We want to see what this revamping and what this overall will look like at the end of the day, and what will be the outcome. Remember that part of the Nigeria Electricity, Act that was passed in 2023, different states now can transmit, distribute, power and generate, and they also will have their own discos. So it means the discos will create subcos in the different states when these laws are passed in the state level, and they can now be able to manage, the markets in those states. So what does this mean at the end of the day? We'll continue to follow some of these stories and bring you up to speed. All right. So we'll go on a quick short break. And when we come back, we'll get into our conversation for today as we discuss the hydrocarbon and measurement accounting of Nigeria oil and gas sector. We'll be back.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
All right, welcome back again. This is the Energy Outlook live, and we're discussing today bridging the gap for effective hydrocarbon measurement and accounting in Nigeria. So, first, I know some of you will take a pause. So, what do we say hydrocarbon? Many in the energy sector already know what I'm talking about, but there needs to be more context in it. As I said earlier at the beginning, the Nigeria depends solely on its revenue from the energy sector. Especially the oil and gas, and the chunk of our revenue comes from this sector. But indeed, there needs to be a lot that needs to track, measure, and give a proper accounting of what we are generating from the sector. How do we do this? And this is a thing that many don't talk about so much. Are we losing more money somewhere? Or should we be generating more from a different, angle? What are we not looking at? So how do we bridge the gap that exists? So my guest today is Mrs. Sunday Cascio, PhD. He's the founder, managing partner of Flexen and Company. My very good friend, Dr. Sunday, if you permit me to call you that. Welcome to the program. Can you hear me, Doc?
Thank you so much, Wisdom. Yes, I can hear you, Wisdom.
Okay, fantastic. Welcome to the
Can
program.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. So,
yes, thank you so much. Yes, thank you much.
Yeah. So we're discussing today a topic I know is dear to your heart, and it's something that you've been driving for quite a long time. And I was at the Hydrocarbon Measurement and Accounting Conference last year, and I know that there was so many discussions and technical presentations that gave a deeper insight of what is happening within the oil and gas space. So, Doc, I want to bring you on now to please explain to us. Many may not understand really when we say hydrocarbon measurement and accounting. What are we really talking about?
All right, thank you so much. much, Wilson, for inviting me to join your Friday show this evening. So, good question. So, what do we mean when we say hydrocarbon accounting? So, hydrocarbon accounting basically means tracking oil and gas production from the wells all the way to the where the oil is sold, to determine how much we are producing, how much sometimes for gas, how much of what we produce is lost, how much of what we produce, for example, is fled. So we basically try to track every molecule or drop of oil from where it's produced to where it's sold. That's basically what it means, hydrocarbon. That's what we mean when we say hydrocarbon accounting.
Okay.
Are you here? Are you listening?
Yeah, I'm with you. I can hear you. So I like that you have given like a perfect,
Okay.
explanation to start this. But what are we doing enough as a nation, to give a proper accounting of our hydrocarbon sector? What are some of the things you've seen over the years? I know a lot was discussed at the conference last year, so much, but I want to just give some touch points on some of the things you have observed. Are we doing a proper accounting for the hydrocarbon space?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mean, it's not a straightforward answer to this question, but of course, we are doing a counting of what we are producing, but there's always room for improvement. So that's what I would say. We cannot say we're not accounting for what we are producing. We are actually accounting for what we are producing, but there is always room for improvement. And I guess that's the reason why you mentioned gaps, right? Gaps means that there's still something that we need to improve.
All right. I mentioned earlier that OPEC has reported, that our production has dropped. Usually, there are many issues that lead to this. One of it is oil theft, as experts will say. But I want to come to you to say now that to ask you, what are some of the challenges or gaps, as you mentioned earlier, that may be affecting why our oil productions are dropping? Before now, it was difficult for Nigeria to meet their OPEC quota. Early this year, we met the quota, and now we have dropped again. Do you see any challenges, or are there some gaps that we need to work on if we need to improve this?
I mean, for sure, there are a couple of challenges. One is the age of oil and gas production assets, facility. I mean, the other part is investment into new wells, drilling more wells. So, yes, I mean, Nigeria has been in the business since the early 70s. So most of the assets are old. Second point, we are sort of in a transition now. I mean, all the oil and gas major companies, international oil companies, some of them that they are selling their assets to local companies, which is a good thing. So that transition, of course, is going to bring improvement, but then it comes with its challenge. So, but very importantly is the age of the assets, drilling of new wells. All this contributes to production issues. Of course, pipeline breaks. I mean, you can produce oil, but if you cannot export the oil, then it's not counted. So in the end, is what we export that is counted. Is counted as production. It's not what is actually produced. So if, for example, the pipelines like TMP and the rest of the pipelines, have challenges due to third-party sabotage, for example. Then, so we are witnessing up and down in terms of our production output.
I don't know, Doc, if you can still hear me. I mean, you're breaking a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you. It looks to me like the network is not very good.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So we
can hear
lost
you.
a bit of what you said in the last part of it. I don't know if you want to repeat that so that, because we lost a bit of that.
Yes. So I was saying that, I mean, your question is why is production going
Yes,
down,
dropping, yes.
basically up and down? So I'm saying that there are many reasons to attribute to this drop in production. You have the issue of pipeline being tampered with, and when the oil is produced, it has to be exported. So
Okay.
it goes through pipelines to the export partners. So when the pipelines that convey this oil to the export terminals are not, tampered with, this has tendency of reducing the amount of oil that is being exported. The other part is the challenge of old assets. Some of the assets are quite aged, so their capacity to deliver production to the level that is required is hampered due to the level, if you like, the age of the asset. The other part is investment to drilling of new wells. Okay, if that investment is not coming in as much as we expected, even though, I mean, as you said earlier in your news, we are seeing new interest, new monies being mentioned, like the 6 billion that you mentioned earlier. But again, these monies have to make their way into the system in terms of the actual drilling of wells, investing into production facilities. If those monies have not arrived in the country in form of the actual investment on the ground, then we'll still have challenge with the volume of oil that we are seeing. So, I mean, there are a lot of issues around this, to be honest.
5 years
I don't know if you're
ago,
hearing, looks like.
yes, I can hear you. 5 years ago, you around that time, you started the Nigerian measurement and the Nigerian hydrocarbon measurement and accounting conference. And I know that, I mean, many versions of that conference has happened over time. What are some of the conversations from the NIMEC conference that you think has changed the landscape, you know, within the sector, or been able to solve any of the challenges within the hydrocarbon space in order for us to improve the level of accounting that we are doing in the sector? From this, you know, couple of conferences you've done, what are some of the conversations you think has triggered, you know, a change or an improvement or solved a problem within the sector?
Oh, thank you. So, yes, NIMEC is the Nigeria Hydrocarbon Measurement Conference. NIMEC is in the 5th year now. So we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of NIMEC this year. And I definitely like to invite you, you and your team, to cover this conference. Having said that, let me go back to the question that you've asked. So we have seen a couple of things that have been implemented as a result of maybe some of the things we discussed at NIMEC that we've seen being implemented by the regulator, NUPRC. One of which is measurement or metering audit. For every year, we have seen experts in the sector are requesting that there should be a form of a metering audit, because metering audits help identify issues in the metering system. And as you know, the oil and gas sector, in terms of revenue, in terms of royalty payments, depends on the quantity of oil that is produced and measured. Now, measurement is critical, very critical to the national revenue. Therefore, if the meter or the system that is accounting for the hydrocarbon that is being sold is not audited frequently, there could be some errors in the system that could cost the country a lot of money. So, in all the years that we've been doing this conference, every year this issue has been discussed. The first conference, 2021, 2022, 2023, all this hydrocarbon audit, measurement audit has always come up. And this year, last year, the NUPRC awarded a contract for this, which is a welcome development. The other part is wet gas measurement. Wet gas measurement is one big area in the measurement space, which is an enabler for gas production. You know, everyone is talking about gas, natural gas now, but without good measurement of natural gas, you cannot encourage investment in that sector. Even if you encourage investment, investors may not be able to recover their money, or the country may lose money because of poor measurement, because everything is hinged on measurement. So oftentimes the gas that we produce comes with liquid, so we call it wet gas. So measuring that kind of gas presents difficulty. This topic has been discussed a couple of times at NIMEC. Just last year, the president issued a presidential order number 40 that has enabled the NUPRC quickly developed a guideline for wet gas measurement. So I believe NIMEC is making impact in the hydrocarbon measurement accounting system or phase in the country. Or most of our discussion, we usually at the end of the conference, we will share these outcomes with the regulator, with all the stakeholders. So we believe that some of the changes that we're experiencing now are coming maybe as a result of some of the discussions that we had at NIMEC. There are so many of those discussions that we have seen that they've been implemented, and those two items I mentioned, metering audit, and the development of guidelines by the NUPRC for wet gas measurement. I mean, another part is this greenhouse gas emission measurements. We have seen that all the regulators, both NUPRC and NNDPRA, they are working very seriously now, trying to ensure that oil and gas companies account for emissions. But these are all the discussions that we usually have at the conference. So
in a nutshell, are you saying that the regulators are coming up to speed with, solving some of the challenges that may have been arising, within the hydrocarbon space, and one of it, which is, of course, the measurement you mentioned, and you are saying that the solutions that are being deployed or the efforts by the regulators, we can see progress already, coming. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yes, that's correct. So the regulators, from my viewpoint, they are listening very well now. They are really listening to it. I also want to state that the NIMEC is sponsored by these regulators as well. So they are very serious about measurement. They have been very supportive. The NNDPRA sponsor NIMEC. So the outcome of this conference is very important for them. So I can see that they are taking it on board. And I also encourage the oil companies also to take, I mean, the oil companies too, they are supporting NIMEC. Most of the oil companies, they are sponsoring NIMEC, First EMP, Seplat,
Okay.
Water Smith,
So, Doc,
Aradel, all these people are sponsoring NIMEC. They are actually taking this very seriously.
okay. So now, I mentioned earlier that the federal government says it had secured $8 billion for deep water oil and gas projects. Now, I'm raising this because you had mentioned gas earlier. Some of this funding that are coming into the sector, especially when it has to do with gas, where do you think this investment should indeed be going? What kind of projects do you want to see, within the gas space, especially when you look at from the angle of measurement and accounting?
Yeah, so from the measurement and accounting perspective, we would like to see more investment in digitalization. So measurement is a principal source of data for oil and gas. So the era of manual collection of data is over. The world has advanced a lot nowadays. So it is important that investment should go into digitalization, whereby all the measurement devices are connected to a computer and the data are transmitted automatically. The gas side of things is even more critical. In fact, measurement for gas is far, far more challenging compared to oil. Because for gas, you will need to measure the composition of the gas. You need to measure the amount of liquid inside the gas. You need to measure the flow rate of the gas. You need to measure temperature. You need to measure pressure. All this information needs to be transmitted electronically to a computer. Taking of data manually by hand or just writing on paper can introduce errors into hydrocarbon accounting system, and that can result to huge losses. So digitalization is critical for the gas business and also for optimizing the gas production facilities, the gas processing facilities, the gas transmission infrastructure, which includes the compression station performance, the pipelines, the distribution system, CNG, LNG at the fueling, at the dispensing stations. All these points involve measurement, and digitalization is now very critical for the performance of the industry and also for government to monitor revenues.
All right, digitalization is a critical area we must look at, and I think I agree with you. So that there's a bit more efficiency in how we are measuring and giving a proper accounting on this. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at other areas like what kind of policies should we be having in the sector to drive more. What are some of the lessons we can learn from other countries? Maybe there are countries where, they have done this a bit more efficiently. What can we look at from those countries? We'll look at capacity building, which of course NIMEC has been driving over time. We'll get some more insight into it. But don't move. We'll be right back. Stay with me. let's take this short break, and we'll come back to these conversations.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back. And again, this is the Energy Outlook Live. Now, we've been discussing bridging the gap for effective hydrocarbon measurement and accounting in Nigeria. The oil and gas sector in Nigeria is quite vast, and the country depends on it largely for its revenue. But have we been measuring and giving a proper accounting of what we get from this sector? And my guest, Dr. Sunday Cashew, has been talking to me. He's the founder and managing partner of Flexing and Company, and has been working vast enough in the sector. And he's talking to me on some of the issues of what we can do and how we can bridge the gap. So, Doc, are you still with me? If you can confirm.
Wisdom, can you hear me?
Oh, perfectly. I see you. So my next question is going into policy. What kind of policy reforms are essential to support accurate, hydrocarbon measurement and minimize discrepancies? And it could be policies that we already have that we need to maybe do more with, or it could be new policies that we could introduce. You mentioned Order 40 that was passed by the president, to enable the regulator, NUPRC, to do more in the area of measurement, which you are happy about. But are there more ways, more reforms that needs to come in to see what we can do, to do more with measurement and accounting, and also minimize discrepancies? Because as you mentioned just shortly, other areas like CNG are beginning to come in, and you said gas is really the most difficult when we talk about measurement. What are some of the policies that we can put in place that can give us a balance and reduce these discrepancies that we may foresee, especially as we're looking to digitalize quite a lot of this so that we can do better? Are there policies we can look at? Are there existing ones that we feel that we are not making good use of?
All right. Thank you so much, Wisdom. Yeah, I think so. I think there is need for quite a number of policies that could still be enacted or could be strengthened. So one is, I think there's need for policy on loss threshold. So how much tolerance, what is threshold for losses that governments can tolerate for oil? How much is it for natural gas? How much is it for LPG, for example? So I'm not talking about measurement errors or measurement uncertainty, but threshold for losses. So can we say that, for example, the government can say we cannot afford to lose 100 barrels of oil per month? So that could be a policy. The government can say that we must not lose 100 barrels in any month or in any day. So then, what can we do to ensure that we don't lose a barrel? From the measurement perspective, it means that we have to ensure that every operator is compliant with the regulatory requirements. We have to be, that we plug it back to say that we have to digitalize, there has to be digitalization. We have to be, to plug it back to say that there has to be real-time measurement of water in oil or oil in water. We have to plug it back and say that for gas, we must tolerate only 1,000 standard cubic feet of gas for every 10 million standard cubic feet of gas as unaccounted loss or as loss due to metering errors. So having a policy on tolerable limit of loss can be a good thing, and that policy could be cascaded to all the operators. Having a policy that can enable and support the small company, like, I mean, they're no longer called marginal operators, but let's just, for the purpose of this discussion, refer to them as marginal operators. Supporting those small players in living up to expectations is very important, because having measurements and also digitizing is not cheap. The other part is local manpower development and technology development within the country. At the moment, there is huge gap here. Anything around measurements is outside of this country, including when we want to do calibration, okay? So when a meter is not in good shape, we need to calibrate. We have to fly
So
that
this
meter out of the
calibration,
country.
we have to take
I'm
it
not
out of the
talking
country, is it
about
what you're
the
saying?
certification.
This calibration, when we want to do it, we
Yes,
take it out of the
most of
country.
Yes, let me explain, because maybe some people who are listening, they may argue with me, but so we are not talking about meter proving. Meter proving is done in country. But when, for example, Coriolis meter tube needs to be replaced and reset to need to be reset to factory condition, this meter has to go back to be calibrated to its original condition. We don't have a laboratory in this country to do that kind of test. So meters are being flown to France, to Netherlands, to UK, for this, to Houston in US for this kind of exercise. We don't have a national, international standard laboratory that can carry out this kind of calibration exercise in this country. This is a lot of money. And I can tell you, one meter can cost you like $50,000 to calibrate. Some organization outside this country charge like 10,000 per meter, or sometimes 10,000 per day to do this kind of work. So it costs oil companies a lot of money. So this is another area that maybe the Ministry of Petroleum, the regulators, NCDMB, and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment could come together to see. I mean, my company is more than happy to support in this area with our knowledge to support in this area. But I can tell you, we have huge challenge here. This is a very national. I can call it a national embarrassment. The country needs to invest heavily in this area. So this can be a policy as well.
Okay, now you mentioned how other countries, it leads to my next question perfectly well, which is, what lessons can Nigeria learn, from other producing countries, about this effective hydrocarbon measurement? What are other oil-producing countries doing that we need to really pick those lessons from and begin to implement for Nigeria, so that we don't have to, begin to lose this huge amount of money, out of the country, so that we can be able to look inwards and see how we can begin to resolve. From your experience, of course, working in this space for quite a long time, what are the things that when you look at other oil-producing countries, we can easily, the low-hanging fruits, we can begin to do, for Nigeria to begin to look at, how we can improve and do more for the sector?
Well, I mean, Nigeria is doing a lot of things, but to be honest, we have almost all the agencies that we need to have in the sector. Nigeria has had long years of experience, but we are still behind, especially about technology. So I think what is lagging is the fact that we're not investing into R&D that much. I know the country is investing in training people abroad. I mean, I benefited from that kind of training from PTTF. PTTF is doing a very good job of training Nigerians abroad. But I think there's need for local research and development. And I'm not talking about giving people 50 million naira to do research. I'm talking about strategic long-term investments in proper research work in billions, not small money, a lot of money. So you can see this kind of strategic investment in countries like Saudi. So Saudi Aramco, for example, is one state-owned company that has invested a lot in the oil and gas sector in technology. What they do is that when they see a company developing a technology somewhere in the world, sometimes they buy the technology, or they buy the patent, or they just buy the company. And that's one way to deploy technology fast into your country. If you see a technology somewhere that you think is good, you can buy the company, or you can buy the patent and then bring it to your company, into your country, and develop it. Then invest in your universities for long term, not give lecturers or academics 50 million naira today and ask them to produce technology next year. Is investing for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years. This is how this is what you see in Norway. Norway is very good at this. This is what you see in other countries like, as I said, Saudi Arabia, very good at this. This is what you see in the UK. So, like now we are saying digitalization. People are talking about artificial intelligence. We need to invest into these kind of areas for a long haul, for 10 years. Just keep pumping money and making sure that it is being used. And have target about the specific problem that you want to solve. And these are research institutions, academic institutions. As they're solving that problem, they are attached to an industry, to a company, and that is being tested and taken back to the university or to the research institution, and it's being tried, and then just keep retuning it. And in the next 10 years, you see that you have come up with a country.
Before I let you go, because we're fast running out of time, you've raised a big concern there around capacity building. And I know this is one area that NIMEC has also focused on because of the conferences and the conversations around this. Now, quickly, in 30 seconds, capacity building, aside R&D that will help us, of course, to improve more, what area of capacity building should we be looking at now? If you look at capacity building within, the hydrocarbon measurement and accounting space, what can capacity building do different? What should we look at?
Well, again, the government is doing a lot. So I will repeat this. For example, PTTF is doing very well, doing a lot of investment in capacity building. One area we definitely recommend is when people acquire knowledge, they have to put this knowledge to use.
Okay.
So this could be another area of capacity building, how people can put their knowledge to use, not just acquiring knowledge, but not using this knowledge. So when people are being sponsored to go to universities, whether in Nigeria or abroad, when they have acquired knowledge, you need to spend another money to make sure that this knowledge is put to actual use.
Okay.
There is capacity building in this area, and I think this is one area that we haven't been investing enough. We have a lot of graduates who have studied engineering, studied all kinds of courses, but how to use this kind of knowledge is a challenge. We need to teach people how to use the knowledge that they've
All right.
acquired. There's huge knowledge in Nigeria.
Doc,
Sometimes we undermine the kind of knowledge we have.
Doc,
The knowledge enough is not enough when
Yes.
we don't use the knowledge. No.
yes, Doc, that's a fine place to leave it. And I know the conversations will continue at the Nigeria Hydrocarbon Measurement and Accounting Conference for 2025. So those that are interested to attend can just Google it and, of course, get more information. These are some of the things we will continue with the conversation. But, Doc, thank you for finding the time to speak with me. The time is not enough to really exhaust all my questions I needed to ask you, really. But I'm sure we can get you back at another time to continue it. But, indeed, thank you so much. But this is a fine place. We'll leave it. I will be at the conference, and I'm sure that there will be more questions I can ask even to more people when the time comes. So thank you so much, Doc, for finding the time to speak with me. All right, that's the much we can take on the program today. And I hope you find that very valuable. I'll leave you with these words. Transparency in hydrocarbon measurement is essential for economic stability. To protect our resources, we must invest in technology, capacity building, and stringent accountability measures. This is a perfect summary of all we have discussed today as we talked about bridging the gap in the hydrocarbon measurement and accounting space in Nigeria. If we depend so much on this revenue from this sector, there's so much we need to do. And I didn't take the last bit of the conversation to be, what are the concerns as we transition? Energy transition conversation keeps going on, but we need to have that. As we transit, what do we need to look at, especially when we see that Nigeria is an economy that depends so much on oil and gas, and with a dwindling economy as we have it, there are many concerns. But thank you so much. This is how much we can take on the conversation today. And you can watch the episodes live as you follow our official YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. And you can catch more insight on previous episodes and previous experts we've spoken to on so much conversation happening within the oil and gas sector. My name is Wisdom Chap Jumbo, and this is the Energy Outlook. Until next week, same station, same time. Don't miss it. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.